Hello, everybody. I know we are late. We were having some technical difficulties, so I do apologize. Sometimes technology just doesn't want to be our friend. So we are here. If you are still with us, definitely let us know that you're here. I thank you for sticking around so that you can watch this live. I am Elle from the blog cleverlychanging.com. We are both the co-hosts of the Cleverly Changing podcast, and we have been talking to everyone about homeschooling and remote learning and distance learning. Yesterday, we did a special all about distance learning and how it's actually different from homeschooling. So today we want to talk about some tools and resources that are available, some online and some not online. So I hope that you will enjoy this conversation. If you have questions, please go ahead and put them into the comments section. If you are watching the replay, put replay in the comment section so that I know that you are watching. So I thank you all for joining us today. This has been quite a series because so many of us are embarking upon homeschooling for the very first time. So we want to be here to support you. So thank you for joining. Oh, Charlene, thanks so much for joining. Miriam, go ahead and introduce yourself so that people will know who you are.
Hello, everyone. I am Miriam. I am mom with the 4 little babies, although they're not all little. They are, between 3 and 12. And I'm a writer and a mama.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's all right. It's all right.
One of them calling me from upstairs.
That's what our kids do. When they have access to technology, they definitely give us a buzz. But I want everybody to kind of get to know us in these conversations. I'm a mom of twins, so I know that I have a very different perspective because both of my little ones are the exact same age. So that's a bit different. And I know that most people have children who are a variety of ages, just like your little ones. So we're bringing 2 totally different perspectives to the table, and we're talking to you guys about how to get started, how to make it work, what works for us, what hasn't worked for us, and why we still homeschool. So homeschooling is challenging at times, but we're still at it because there's something about it that we absolutely love about it. And so that's really what we're going to talk about these tools. We're going to talk about what we love. We're going to talk about some things that are challenging. And I just can't wait for the conversation to get going. So without further ado, I want us to I had a conversation with Charlene not too long ago, and she is starting homeschooling for the first time. And I know one of the questions that we always get asked is, what curriculum do we use? That is the number one question. And if you ask anybody who homeschools that question, a lot of times you get some perplexed looks because when you engage in homeschooling, it's a lifestyle. It's not just educating your kids. So like if you're into distance learning and there's a school nearby, you can sign up with like Connections Academy or K-12 if you are just looking for the academic side, because they provide all of the academics, they provide the materials, there's a teacher there, and you're really just assisting the teacher to make sure your kids get the lessons that they need. With homeschooling, just like no teacher teaches exactly the same, with homeschooling, no homeschool is exactly the same. So the experience that I have is completely different from everybody who homeschools. And there will be some similarities. There will be things that we all enjoy, some things that we don't, but every home is different. And so every homeschool is different. And so, we just have to kind of lay that foundation on the line to begin with. because it's so hard for us to say, hey, we can tell you what we use, but more likely than not, we use it in a supplementary way. So while we may use books or use certain materials, we often pick up other materials in other places because we, as Black people here in America, there aren't necessarily curriculums that encompass everything that we need, that we love and feel comfortable with. And so I haven't found that. I have been homeschooling for 7 years. And right now, I can't say that that one curriculum that I would 100% recommend without any hesitation, I can't say that it really exists. So I pick a little pieces from all different sorts of places. And it's really about understanding, learning, and engaging with your kids. While your kid is learning, you're also learning and relearning things. So it's a journey that you and your family are taking together. Would you add anything to that, Miriam?
I was thinking when you said that every homeschool is different. Honestly, I thought that even your own homeschool will differ from year to year, from month to month, even. It's very fluid. Doesn't really, for myself, it doesn't really stay the same, because as I happen upon resources and their interests start to shift into other areas, I kind of go with the flow. So where we may have started out doing this, or we did a particular something last year, that doesn't mean that it's going to continue to roll on in the next coming months or the next year. So it really is a ever evolving experience. And so if you're looking for something that's going to be stable, I don't want to say that it's unstable, but if you want consistency, it's difficult to find that. I find
it's right, especially
even for ourselves.
Right. And our kids are growing. So you talk about different materials from year to year. What worked last year may not work for my kids this year because they may be more tapping into their auditory side. And last year we did more kinesthetic stuff because that's what they were into. Just because people, their styles of learning may change from year to year. It's not a stagnant thing. We all possess different learning styles within each other. And so even from subject to subject, that can be different. I was listening to Eva. She has a group. It's on Facebook. It's a support group. If you're interested, I will put the link to it in the comment section. I'm not going to say the name on the air, but and she was saying that she has multiple children, and she was saying that in some subjects, her kids have had different learning styles. And that's definitely true for my kids. And I have twins, and I don't teach my twins the exact same because they don't learn the same. And so it's very hard to, just like in a classroom, there are many different children. So the teachers, they have to compile many different tools in order to meet the needs of the classroom. And we have to be honest with you, in homeschooling, if you have more than one child and your child is taking more than one subject, you're going to have to approach that from different angles. Mm-hmm. And so that means you may be doing a combination of things to provide in-depth teaching for different subjects.
Miss Charlene, don't worry. Even though, you're used to following the teacher's lead, now you get to follow your children's lead, if you like, and you can see what interests them and what doesn't, and how they are absorbing a particular lesson, or if they are, I'll say, more engaged when you take a certain approach. It's normal to be nervous. It is. And honestly, I still get a little iffy when I'm doing my planning. And I'm like, oh, second guessing myself. Is this really what I want to do? Is this really going to work for them? Even though, I will come and ask, what exactly are you looking for this year? Do you have any goals that, you want to achieve? Are there any projects that you want to take on, experiments, anything that you've seen online that would be interesting to you? Let's talk about it. Then if I can, we can weave it in. And if we can't, well, we'll have to try again later. But it's normal to feel nervous. You got to push.
Yes, yes. So I would say we're not complete unschoolers, but we definitely embrace the philosophy in many ways. And I think that can kind of color the way that we share information about how we teach our kids. I believe that all kids have interests, and you really, in order for you to be effective and getting them engaged and helping them develop a love for learning, the only way to do that is to tap into their interests and let the information that you share align together with what they are interested in. Now, sure, I guide my kids and expose them to things that they may not have ever known anything about. So I'm not saying you're only doing things based on their interests. It's just that that's one of the starting points. So,
Right.
like, if you were getting them to write a paper or, journal, you're going to start with things that they're interested in. So if you have a little boy who loves everything basketball, you may want to pick up books that are about basketball. When you ask him to do journal writing, you may want him to write journal prompts that are related to basketball. When you are doing handwriting with him, you may want to give him basketball words. You want to do things that are related to those interests because you want your kid to embrace it. Now, I'm not saying that's all you're going to do. It's what you're going to piece with other things. And so that's really one way that we approach it. And we tend to do that because we don't want our kids to always push back. Now, some kids are stubborn and they will, but it really helps kind of lighten the load and make it easier for them to embrace that information. So I have shared a list. If you go to my blog and you type in vetted resources, I have shared a list of online tools that I have used, that I have vetted, that, we supplement our kids' education with those tools. Now, is it everything that I use? No, because I put multiple things together and everything isn't online, but those are some online resources. Like I love typing.com because it's
Yes.
online, it's easy. It kind of like the kids think they're playing a game, but they're learning to type. And so I think that's definitely one resource that that I've gotten used to. Are there any resources? And I have a couple others that I want to share today that have really just been very supplemental. And I felt like they kind of thought outside of the box. And I think if we want to be effective in teaching our kids, we kind of have to think outside the box. And I know that because I've been doing it for a long time, it's so hard to, I know it's like, well, you've been doing it. But when I first started, I didn't know any homeschoolers. And I just loved reading to my kids and I loved talking to them and just engaging them. And that's really how I started when I first became a homeschooler. I got tons of books because we love to read, and that's where we started. And so I would say that is a great place to start. Now, we've all done worksheets and stuff like that because we went to school. So there are plenty of books, like Spectrum has good workbooks. Those things you can find at most stores, Walmart, Target, and those books with the worksheets, you can buy them for your kids' age groups. So that is not, supplementing your kids' education is not hard in terms of that. And so what I did last year, we used those online resources that I shared, and I supplemented with the workbooks and the worksheets. And where I needed to maybe have discussions, I created discussions with them. And now There are like virtual co-ops. There are things called virtual tutorials. There are virtual homeschool groups. There are even still some that meet in person. So I would say look and see what is available in your community so that you have an extra layer of support. Now, a tutorial in my area, a tutorial is a like a tutoring service that offers lessons where they don't call the people who teach the classes teachers, they call them tutors, and they have already pre-chosen the books and the curriculum that's going to be used. So if you are really apprehensive about it, I would say, find an online virtual co-op, find out what they're using, you know, ask the people about it, get reviews on it, look up reviews online, and sign up for that co-op online or the tutorial. And, you can kind of get your feet wet by doing it with their system. And that way your kids are maybe doing virtual classes and meeting other kids so that there's some sort of camaraderie, especially if they're used to school, because you don't want to necessarily start homeschooling and then they're not able to engage, because this is a whole nother time where we're not really spending that face-to-face time with other people like we used to. And so we have to find creative ways to do that. And these virtual co-ops, virtual tutorials, and virtual homeschool groups do allow for that to happen. So those three terms are terms that you can Google to find out. Maybe you might want to find one in your area, but if your area doesn't meet your standards, you want to, look for one in another area. Because when it's virtual, you can, the world is your oyster. So that is something that I would say we do co-ops and tutorials because I want my kids to engage with other people. That is one component of socialization. And homeschool kids socialize a lot, generally. So you as the parent, you create those avenues for socialization. And so that's something that the co-ops, homeschool groups, and tutorials allow for that to happen in a safe place. And what's great about it is the other kids who are in the program are also homeschooled. So they're not going to think your kid is weird because they are in the exact same situation. And I know that you've attended some co-ops that you've really liked. Can you kind of share with everybody how that was and because did you do the virtual component this last semester?
Yeah, so my co-op is awesome. I really do enjoy it. What I would suggest if you're looking is on Facebook. They're really pushing the group movement on Facebook, and there are groups and groups and groups on everything. So if you just look in Chicago homeschoolers, Maryland homeschoolers, Louisiana homeschoolers, you're going to find at least 3 or 4 groups. And you can join those. And then once you get in there, you'll start asking some questions. Any good co-ops, tutorials, study groups, play groups, whatever you're looking for. And you ask, and you'll end up with probably a pretty good amount of information to get started with in terms of finding support and other kinds of activities for your children and yourself. But I am in the Sankofa Homeschool Collective Co-op, and it's an African-centered co-op, and it's loads of fun. I did not engage in the virtual situation this past semester. I was really sad about it. The classes that they wanted to take are very, very interactive. So World Geography with Mama Jessica is very, very fun. And they sing songs and they move around and they make arts and crafts. And so I really didn't want to try to virtualize that one. I didn't think that would go over very well. So we didn't do that. And the other one, The other class was the griot. So the teacher has a Montessori background, and she does basically language arts and grammar through storytelling. And it's loads of fun. The kids are getting up and they're bouncing around and screaming in theater one, and it's fun. So I kind of decided not to, because that they were more interested in the action. And it's not that kind of, those classes when necessary. I didn't think that they would translate for them as well as in person. So we didn't. But this coming semester, we probably will, seeing that, there's just no avoiding it. Thank you, Corona. So, I mean, we probably will. I miss seeing, the parents. It was also a wonderful time for the parents to get together. And I don't know if this is common in the homeschool community, period, but it seems like it's usually a woman-led movement. But in Sankofa, the daddies are there too. We have plenty of dads in there, and it's wonderful to see the representation of our people and just the way we kind of vibe together. So I do plan on visiting the virtual. They did do one this summer, but I didn't do that one either. Don't ask me why. I'm not telling. Not that bad. I just did it. And it's very supportive. So, you can have, even though it's not a drop-off program, when it's in person, even though it's not a drop-off program, if you were to work with another parent or a couple other parents, it could kind of sort of take on the drop-off feel for you, because you all could, piggyback who's going to pick them up this time, who's going to take them the next time. And the whole point is that the children have an adult to go to if they need, other than, the teacher. So my co-op experience has been great. I recommend it to all the brown people around here. Loads of fun. I mean, it's big fun, big fun.
So if somebody is from another place, can they sign up for the virtual school?
Yes, I do believe so. So I remember a couple of sessions back, they were doing a shared experience, I'll call it, with a group in, I can't remember, a Caribbean nation. I can't remember which one. So there was someone in the classroom with a video, and we were live streaming the class for brothers and sisters. So they did offer that, and I do believe that since they are going virtual right now, that there is a wider net, because the in-person is gone. Yeah, I'm dramatic, I know. Sorry.
So, Charlene, we will definitely share that information for the co-op with you, just so that you can take a look at it to see if it's something that you're interested in. You also shared a question that we want to get into, and it is, how long do you homeschool for the day? And I'll read the others, and then we'll take turns and answer them. Do your children use computers every day? Do you homeschool every day? What about the whole year? Sorry about so many questions. Oh, it's fine. We've been there. That's why we've made ourselves available, for this very reason. We want you to ask us questions, and we want to be able to answer them. So I will go ahead and answer the questions from my perspective. How long do I homeschool for the day? So typically we're doing it for about 3 to 4 hours.
And that is actually probably a little bit longer than some. But we do like robotics. Like all of it isn't just book work. Some of it is fun work. And I just count that as the homeschool day too. So for my kids, um, with like the homeschool day, we're doing probably 2 hours of book work, not consecutively, but we're doing it where they do 30 minutes and then take a 10-minute break and then 30 minutes. So that's how my kids are now. They're 11th, but they're going into the 7th grade. So that's what they are doing now. I would say for young children, you need, so you mentioned 2nd grade. I'm thinking 1 to 1.5 hours a day. That's it. And again, what you want to do, you want to break that up into chunks. So you would do maybe a 20-minute lesson, a 10-minute break, a 20-minute lesson, a 10-minute break. And in that break, you can give your kids, um, educational stuff to do, but it's not, something that you're overseeing and kind of, going back and forth with them about. It's kind of free. Like Legos are great because they teach problem solving, they can build stuff. And so it's learning. So I allow my kids to do like fun learning stuff. Like in school, I guess they had like centers. And so it's that sort of idea where, maybe they're playing with like a kitchen set and or they could actually be cooking something for lunch with you and you're baking maybe muffins or something. All of that, you can just come up with something where you're not literally sitting with a book and a piece of paper all day. So I think you should break it up. Do your children use computers every day? So because my kids are older and they are taking some virtual classes, they do, but they did not when they were younger. So now that now the virtual classes are a big thing, and I've allowed my kid to do some virtual tutoring. So because of that, we do allow them to use computers. But if you're not using a computer-based program, you don't have to. And when my kids were younger, we did not use a computer-based program. So it wasn't until middle school that computers became an everyday thing. In the past, though, we would do certain subjects on certain days. So they loved Minecraft when they were younger, but we did like Minecraft on Thursdays. So that meant that Monday through Wednesday, they didn't really have to be on the computer. So it all depends on what classes that you set up. So I didn't, there are definitely some subjects that you may want to do every day. Like math is one of the, it kind of depends on the kid. Math and reading, those are two subjects to be able to incorporate very easily every day. Some of the subjects that we did were like geography. We didn't do it every day. That was like a 1 day thing. Spelling, we only took 1 day to literally do spelling, whereas other days they're still doing spelling because they're writing. You're going over the words. You may reiterate stuff. And I think for my kids, I used early morning time to kind of reiterate and make sure we reviewed, because a lot of kids, if you're not reviewing, they forget stuff. So you want to make sure that you're hitting on those high points just to make sure they're remembering regularly. So you said, do you homeschool every? Oh, so do we homeschool every day? We were doing it mostly Monday through Thursday were really the heavy days. On Fridays growing up, my kids used to go to a co-op on Fridays, and it was a lot. So this last time, we did home economics on Fridays, where it was like fun stuff, exploratory stuff in the home, cleaning up, cooking, hands-on type of stuff. And that's what we did on Fridays. But it's your home, your school. And if your area doesn't have a lot of rules around when you need to be homeschooling and how you need to take attendance, then it's up to you as a family. And so Monday through Thursday really worked for us. We were able to get in all the things that we needed to. What about the whole year? It's up to you. So because the pandemic happened, we are still homeschooling. Right now, we're doing 2 hours a day where we're going over math, we're doing some STEM concepts, and we're doing English and grammar, because those are some of the things that we didn't spend. I had we needed to spend more time in those areas. So can you go ahead and answer her questions from your perspective?
Sure. So how long do I go for the day? It all depends on the child. So my youngest, well, not youngest, but my will be kindergartner. I kind of do him for maybe like an hour or two. And I don't even think it's that long. It's probably more like an hour most days. But I mean, I'll call that quote unquote formal instruction. But we do lots of games. He's a player, so we do lots of little games that do incorporate your typical, ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, things like that. He has to pay me to get tablet time or, little snacks and things like that by counting or identifying some letters or pointing to a word or whatever. So it's not, necessarily your traditional, what you would think of in terms of our days, like sit down at a desk or whatever. I'll give him crayons and paper. Go for it. Do you want to try to draw me the alligator that was the A today or something? Things like that. And if he does, great. If he doesn't and he wants to just make a bunch of circles, that's fine too. So for him, it's less. I'd say for my 7-year-old, it's probably, for her, it depends because she's very self-motivated. And so like today, she was on Prodigy. It's a math game for like an hour and a half. I was looking at her like, really? You still want to keep playing? Okay, fine. We're reinforcing some much needed fundamental mathematics. So I let her go right ahead. We read every day. But I guess some things are kind of just part of our everyday life. And so it doesn't really feel like it's part of the homeschool day, although I guess it's kind of, part of the day. So things like reading and all that stuff, I don't necessarily count that into the times. But for the 2 older girls, I would say it's probably about 2 to 4 hours, depending on how things are going. I tend to do the younger children in the day, and in the morning, and the older in the afternoon, because once I let the younger ones, I'll just say, be free and, do whatever they want to do, it's kind of hard to rein them back in and get them to, focus and do what I need them to do. Do they use computers every day? Yep. Now, I know that sounds bad, probably. Even the young ones, we use reading eggs. And so I definitely do that with him every morning. And what's the other one we're using? Night Zookeeper for the older girls for writing. They enjoy that. So although we don't do Night Zookeeper every day, more like once a week, it's still computer time. And I find that they seem to be a little bit more engaged with the electronic work. So as much as I would rather them not, if it's getting through, guess what? You can have it. Every day. No. I don't homeschool every day. I try to kind of do it, at least 4 days a week, but because of the type of person I am, it's kind of random. So I like to grow things. So when we're out in the street, I see animals, I see plants, I see flowers, I see trees, and I'm telling them, hey, look, that's this. This is that. We have a pretty good sized garden in the back, and we go out there and we're identifying bugs and showing them how to plant and where to put the border or put seeds, how to take care of them. Look, these little things right here are sucking the juice out of the stem. We're going to blast them with some water. Things like that. So, I mean, so there's that. There's reading. There's creating menus. My older daughter, she wants to, can we just do this? And she wants to garnish it, you know. Thanks to Corona, some museums and things have opened up some more virtual exhibits and things like that. So you can go online and check out all kinds of things that weren't necessarily accessible before. The African American Museum of Art, I think it is, was doing a story time at one point, and so we would tune in for those. There was voice actors read. That was fun because they're like, oh, that's so and so from this show, and they were having a really good time. So technically, if you're thinking of it in like schoolish terms, do we homeschool every day? No, but every day is a learning experience, and every day they do learn something. And the whole year, I've kind of tried the whole year business. It gets a little tricky for my family, especially in the summertime, and especially for my older daughter because she's gone to traditional school before, and she kind of knows I'm not supposed to be having class time in the summer, and she's like, eh. And so it gets a little, so not exactly the whole year, but when she's, you know, around, she'll pick up and go to somebody's house for a week or something, you know, and then it's just, I don't have her for that time. So not exactly, but like I was saying before, every day is a new day to learn something. So it kind of is a whole year, but it's just not what most people would think of school when they think of school.
Yes. What you just said, it made me laugh because this week my kids were like, you've been doing lives like people are about to go back to school. I don't understand. We haven't even had summer break. Like, what do you mean? And it just made me laugh because your daughter went to school, my kids do know about it, even though they've been homeschooled all along. And I'm like, well, some kids got out earlier. That's how I've answered it. But it's been very funny. And I think you have to do what is best for your kids, because with the pandemic we just kind of lessened everything because it was just a big transition for everybody. So I was like, hey, we'll do some things, but we're not going to go hard and go heavy on this. And so that's why I've continued it. But we normally do a break because I also feel like road schooling, you know, where you're not necessarily taking your books with you, but you're out vacationing. And we normally vacation. Like, we like to go places. We like to see things. And so I've always taken that and really embraced it. So we didn't normally do it in the summer. This summer, I'm still trying to figure out how we can do the things that we love as far as travel and still, you know, be safe. So that's something that, you know, you can incorporate traveling and things into your academic studies. Like, everything that we do doesn't have to be totally school related to be learning and to be an enriching experience. Because again, homeschooling is a lifestyle for many families. It's a way of life for us. So Thank you. So we have, I hope that answered your questions. And if you have more questions, feel free to put them in the comment section. We're definitely going to be wrapping the conversation up. But we thank you guys for joining us. We have a new comment.
Well, I can answer that one really quick because we were talking about this. We were kind of talking about this earlier, how your question is one of the biggest questions, the main questions that's asked. So when you're looking for educational tools, I would suggest that you keep your child in mind in terms of what it is that you want them to know, what it is that they need to know, and how it is that they generally interact with with learning materials. So if you have someone, younger kids, just go with art supplies, scissors, glue, and paper, crayons, markers, and things will unfold for themselves. You can let them, write a sentence and then have them illustrate their sentence. Things like that. Give them a word, let them draw it, let them write it, So educational tools are often far more simple than most people would think. So you can use electronic tools if you like. You can use tangible tools if you like. And, it all depends on what your child is really driven by. So, if they really enjoy the kitchen space, it's time to go make some pancakes or whatever, some curry, some salad, whatever they want to make, whatever you want to make. So tools can range from, your typical stuff, pen, paper, curriculum workbooks, to non-traditional things like flour and water and the trees outside. So don't be afraid to expand your perceptions and your thoughts on what your definitions. That's the word. Boom. Okay. Don't be afraid to expand your definitions to include things that you may not have thought of. You really do have to kind of think outside of the box in terms of educational tools for your children.
So I know, like, when you're first starting out, kind of having an outline or maybe a guide to help you until you feel comfortable putting those things together. I do have a page on my site with some resources. And instead of just going through those verbally, you can definitely go to the site, and it's called Vetted Homeschool Educational Resources by Subject. And what I will do after this conversation is over, I will add it to the comment section. Unfortunately, the way that it's set up, I just tried to type it in and it wouldn't let me. I'm going to try one more way to put it in there. But yes, I have an outline with some resources that we have used that can help guide you. I believe so, like BrainPop has lesson plans that I have used in the past. Education.com has lesson plans that I have used in the past. So if you are looking for something tangible to find lesson plans to help get you started and jumpstart your homeschool life, that's some of the places where you can start. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. So the link to the actual page for the Vetted Homeschool Educational Resources is, we have a comment that was just submitted with that link. So you can go there and you can see some resources that I've used. And we do have some other podcasts where we've talked about other things that we've used in the past. But really, one of the best ways, you're going to start something and you're like, man, my kid doesn't like this. If your kid is frustrated, that's a sign that it's time for you to pick something new. And it takes kind of trial and error to find what works for your kids and what works for you. So it's really hey, use this because I used it. That just doesn't work. I would love to just give you a list of resources and say, yeah, it was just perfect. It'll be perfect for everybody. But those things perfect for everybody isn't something that exists.
Indeed.
So, but the lesson plans are very helpful to get you started because it does kind of help you learn how to supplement and how to add stuff to it. So you need a guide to get you started, and education.com and also Brain Pop, they had lessons that allowed for supplementation and they were engaging for the kids. And you can also search, you can probably just Google second grade lesson plans, third grade lesson plans, fourth grade lesson plans, and so forth. And, whatever is relevant and see what is available. For us, we've always put our own materials together to create things for our kids. I know you did try some things last year. All of them weren't stellar for you. So, so that's why we're not necessarily just sharing a whole list. Now, before we go, I did want to kind of share something that I thought was really cool that we used for math. And I always like to share something practical with people because I know what you're going through where you're just getting started. And I know, Miriam, when you just got started, you were like, talking to me. And I know like it was always like, well, this is what we're doing, but you kind of just gotta get in your rhythm. And it sounds so abstract and so open, but it really is true.
Yeah, I like the answer a lot better than mine, but at the same time, that's really, kind of how because like she said, I did try to really, get in there and do stuff in a special way and, really be the teacher. It didn't work. So that's how come my answer was the way it is, that, expanding your definition of what educational tools are is a great start because you'll find that the world is your playground.
Yes, yes. So I wanted to share one thing that I love. And I don't even know if I've really shared this with Miriam, but this is one of my favorite things.
I remember that.
This is one of my favorite things ever. And it's actually called Learning Palette. It's for math. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you guys is because the way they have these little things, it's called Learning Palette. So this is what it looks like. And I do have a link to that as well in my Amazon store. I wouldn't say, like, I put the whole set there. I wouldn't recommend that you buy the whole set yet. On Amazon, they're selling for like $10 a packet. And you can get the board. So you need to get the board and get one packet and see if it works for your kid. But what I like about it is it makes the math practical. And I'm going to take a minute and just show you and explain to you kind of what this is. And it has different levels. So we've had this for many years, and they go, I don't know what all the levels are, but they have multiple levels. So your kids can have it for a very long time. It's not just for the early years. All right. So this one that I picked up is beginning fractions. And what's on here, that's the answer key. But this one has fractions on it where they have to answer the questions, and they answer the questions based on when they put the answer, they put a circle in different colors. And so you, as the parent, on the back of it is the answer. And so you can check it, but it makes it kind of practical. It makes it fun. And so this is one of the actual tools that I use to make as a manipulative to make math hands-on. And so also with math, writing the problems on the board and letting my kids answer them on the board also helped to get them more engaged instead of just, me writing it on the board or just giving them a worksheet. When they got an opportunity to maybe come up and do it themselves or even teach it or explain it on the board, that just had a more positive, lasting effect for them. And so that's why I really wanted to share this tangible tool with you guys. And it's called Learning Palette. And so, yes, I do have a link. I'm going to see if I can put that link into the comments section. So do you have one tool that you can maybe share with them while I'm trying to pull up the link?
One tool that I have enjoyed is a Montessori tool. It's called the Stamp Game. I use it for math, and it is basically little tiles. They have 1, 10, and hundreds and thousands, and you use them to show addition. You use it to show multiplication, and basically you just set out the tiles for a number. So if, say the number is 31, you would pull out 3 10 tiles and 1 1 tile, and that shows 31. Now, if you wanted to say something like 31 plus 47, or maybe I should say plus 49, you could use, so it's really good for regrouping. Then you would put out your 31, and then you kind of leave a little space underneath, and then you keep going to put out your 49, and then you tell the children, we'll add them up. So let's say 10, 20, 30, 40. And so now that we've hit the carryover, then we smush them all together first. I'm skipping a step. And then you carry over. So every time you get a group of 10, that's 100. And you would scoot those 10s out and put 100 in the spot. Or you scoot the ones together. You got 10, then you swish it out for a 10. And you keep rotating moving your tiles over. It's upstairs in my special drawer where I hide all the stuff from them.
Yes, because and that's the thing, like to keep your school supplies together, you do have to put them in a special place. You got to have a space so that your kids know where
they know where it is, but
you have to have an organization system. Yeah, you have to have an organization system, because if you don't, you're just going to have stuff all over your house. And so, we're mentioning that because that's really kind of a very important piece to homeschooling, to have a place to put things up so that, because you're spending stuff and you don't want to have to buy it multiple times.
Right. But yes, that's one of my favorite things. And it's fun, and they like to do it. And I can even, put some other stuff over here for the younger ones to tinker with while I'm working with a particular child with that. So, yes, that's one of my favorite little gizmos.
So what I did, I wasn't able to, so while we are doing the live, I'm not able to access the comment section. I don't know why, but that's how it is. So what I did was I just shared it in a different post on my Facebook page. So, wait a minute now. I done found the comment section.
How'd you do it? All right, good.
So this is the link to the Amazon store. And I will go ahead and I will add the game. What is it called so that I can add the game?
The Stamp Game.
The Stamp Game. So I'm going to see if they have it on Amazon, and I'm going to add it in there so that you guys will be able to use that as well. Now, in my store, the learning palette is at the bottom. The stuff where you would get the supplies. And again, I would recommend that you not buy the whole set at once. Even check your local thrift stores. But, you want to make sure they have all the pieces and all the colors. But that's something that my kids used, and it was fun. And it can give you a way to make math hands-on. So I'm going to go ahead and try to add that other stuff. Yes. So guys, we thank you guys for joining us. Again, I will be doing these conversations from now until April. No, not April. Now until August 6th.
Wait a minute.
But we also have the podcast. So everything isn't live. We have a podcast where we've talked about tools that we've used. We talk about just all different conversations that are related to homeschooling. Some are really deep conversations, but we talk about everything. There is no subject that is not that we don't approach. So if you have questions, send us your concrete questions. We will definitely try to answer them, and let us know what you need so that we can assist you. So I thank you guys. Oh, and before I go, if you are interested, on my Instagram page, on the Cleverly Changing Instagram page, there is a giveaway. I am speaking at 2 conferences, so I'll be sharing the link in the comment section for those as well. And one of the conference, they are giving away a variety of homeschool stuff. So enter that giveaway and take advantage of the stuff that they're giving away. So I think it's an awesome time to look for homeschool giveaways. There are tons of places who are like, yes, people are homeschooling. So there's even more resources that are out there now that you can take advantage of. So now is the time. And we thank you guys for joining us. Please, again, tell your friends that we're having these conversations. Tomorrow's conversation will be at 3, and it will be with a guest. The guest is from Mommy Talk Show TV, Mommy T. Oh my gosh. So it's Joyce Brewer, and I will definitely be sharing that. I have to put up the link to her page, and I want you guys to join because she's actually doing virtual schooling. And so that's what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. Virtual schooling and how that's going to look for her. So she's not doing a traditional school. She's going to be doing virtual schooling. And we're going to be just really getting into that sort of conversation. So if you know somebody who's doing virtual schooling and they may need some support, share this conversation with them tomorrow at 3, same place, same time. All right. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.